They built their little grids to keep you trapped. Lines, boxes, rules, all stitched together with fear and obedience. But you didn't step into it. You didn't bend. You didn't bow. You tore the wires apart with your bare hands, laughing while they screamed. Because deep down, you knew you were never meant to fit inside their fragile little cage. Every system has cracks. Every rule has a loophole. And every person who thought they had control over you, they forgot one thing. Monsters don't follow maps. Monsters don't play by their instructions. Monsters don't ask permission to breathe. You didn't just slip through their fingers. You turned their whole design into ashes. That's why they hate you. That's why they whisper your name like it's poison. They trained you to be predictable, to nod, to smile, to wait your turn like a good little shadow. But tell me, what happens when the shadow starts grinning back? When the quiet one sharpens his silence into a blade, their whole balance shatters, their calm evaporates, and suddenly it's not you locked in their system. It's them locked in your storm. Funny, isn't it? They thought their grid was unbreakable. They thought you'd play by their script forever. But chaos doesn't ask for an invitation. Power doesn't beg for approval. You didn't just escape. You didn't just break through. You destroyed the stage they built and left them choking on the dust. So now they tremble. They panic. They hold emergency meetings about you. Not the economy, not politics. You. Because when one person burns the blueprint, everyone else starts to wonder if they can too. And that thought terrifies them more than anything. And here's the real punchline. You didn't even have to try. You were the glitch from the beginning, the anomaly they couldn't predict, the spark they couldn't smother. You didn't enter their world. You rewrote it. And now, every move you make, every breath you take, feels like a countdown to their collapse. They told you to hide it, to bury the fire, to mask the hunger that made your veins burn at night. But here's the truth. They weren't afraid of your mistakes. They were terrified of your reflection. Because when you finally looked into the mirror, you didn't see a victim. You didn't see a servant. You saw the grin of something untamed, something they could never domesticate. Your silence, that wasn't weakness, it was strategy. You let them think you were harmless, you let them think you were tamed, but inside you were sharpening every scar, polishing every ounce of pain until it gleamed like steel. And when you finally smiled back at yourself, it wasn't pretty. It was chaos dressed as confidence. It was madness disguised as clarity. They call it dangerous when someone refuses to wear their mask. You ripped yours off and never put it back on. That's why their eyes dart when you enter a room. That's why conversations stutter when your name crawls into their throats. They don't see you, they see a storm in human skin. And storms don't knock politely before they tear down walls. It's ironic, isn't it? They want honesty, but only the kind that makes them comfortable. You gave them honesty with blood on its teeth. You gave them truth that burned like acid, and suddenly the game shifted. You weren't the clown at their circus. You were the ringmaster of their nightmares. Because every time you look in the mirror now, you don't just see yourself. You see every person who doubted you, every smirk, every betrayal, every knife in the back, and instead of breaking you, it stitched you together, piece by piece, scar by scar, until the reflection became a weapon. So here you are, the joke they laughed at, the outsider they ignored, and the moment you finally let your reflection breathe, it wasn't the end of you, it was the end of them. They whisper your name like it's forbidden, like saying it out loud might summon the very storm they fear, and maybe it does, because every time your name drips from their mouths, it spreads like fire through their little halls of comfort. They don't admit it openly, but you feel it. Their pulse quickens when you walk in. Their laughter dies when your shadow stretches across the floor. Fear has a scent, sharp, metallic. You've smelled it on them before. They used to look at you like you were nothing, disposable, replaceable. Now they look at you like you're a loaded gun, pointed straight at their fragile illusions. You see it in their eyes. The recognition that the one they underestimated is now the one they cannot control. And the best part? You never asked for their attention. You never begged for their approval, yet here they are, haunted by the echo of your presence. Their fear is the crown you never asked to wear, and still it fits perfectly. Because fear doesn't lie. Fear doesn't flatter. Fear tells the truth. They'll never say to your face. Funny thing about fear, it rewrites power. Suddenly the one they mocked becomes the one they measure themselves against. Suddenly, every room feels smaller when you're inside it. Their voices shrink, their confidence cracks, and their certainty turns to dust. And all you had to do was exist. They thought fear was a weapon only they could use. But now you own it. You turned their whispers into thunder, their doubts into fuel, their panic into your personal symphony, and it plays on repeat every time they remember what you've become. So let them whisper, let them shiver, let them choke on the reality they tried to bury, because fear doesn't weaken you, it feeds you. And the more they fear, the brighter your fire burns, until they're nothing but shadows dancing in your glow. They handed you a script, word by word, line by line, a role carved out of obedience and silence. They thought you'd play it forever, smiling when told, shrinking when ordered, waiting in line like a pawn on their board. But pawns don't stay pawns forever. Not when they realize the board itself can burn. Blueprints, that's all they ever had. Schemes to shape you, molds to contain you. Work this job, follow this path, keep your head down, be normal. But what happens when someone takes their perfect little blueprint and rips it into confetti? Suddenly their architecture looks fragile. Suddenly their system looks laughable. And suddenly you become the chaos they can't calculate. Predictability was their leash. They wanted to know your next move, your next thought, your next breath. But when you stopped playing by their rhythm, when you changed the tempo, they froze. Because chaos terrifies order. And you, my friend, became the rhythm they couldn't dance to. A beat too sharp, a silence too heavy, a laugh too loud. Funny, isn't it? They wanted efficiency, structure, control. But humans aren't machines. They bleed, they rage, they shatter. And you leaned into the shatter. You became the glitch in their system, the smoke in their engine, the crack in their foundation. They tried to fix you, but you weren't broken. You were breaking them. Now every step you take feels unpredictable. Every word you speak feels dangerous. They can't chart it. They can't cage it. And that's the beauty of it. You erased the blueprint they worshipped and replaced it with your own. A design not of compliance, but of chaos. Not of safety, but of strength. And here's the cruelest twist. They can't copy it. They can't replicate what you've become, because chaos can't be taught. It can only be lived, and you've lived it so well, their blueprint is nothing but ashes at your feet. They thought endings would bury you, that silence would erase you, that failure would finish you. But endings are illusions. Every time they tried to close the book on you, you wrote a new chapter in their blood-red margin. Every downfall they celebrated became the foundation of your return. You didn't crawl back. You rose, sharper, darker, hungrier. Scars don't shame you. Scars crown you. Each mark is proof that you survived what should have destroyed you. Proof that pain isn't weakness, it's fuel. They call it damage. You call it evidence. Evidence that you've been through their fire and came out forged, not broken. And every scar whispers the same truth. I'm still here. Resurrection doesn't come with light. It comes with laughter. That twisted grin when they realize the disaster they thought was your end was just the spark of your beginning. You don't just return, you haunt. You linger in their memory like smoke after the fire's gone. They can't kill what refuses to die. They can't erase what's carved into their nightmares. And here's the beauty. They underestimated you twice. First, when they thought you were weak. Second, when they thought you'd stay down. That's the fatal mistake. Because nothing is more dangerous than someone who has already died in everyone's eyes and decided to come back laughing. Now, your very existence is a resurrection. Every step you take reminds them of the failure of their schemes. Every breath you take is proof that their fire wasn't enough to consume you. They didn't end you. They made you eternal. So wear those scars like medals. Smile through the madness, because the moment you rose, the game shifted. You're not a survivor anymore. You're the rebirth of chaos itself. And every time they see you, they don't see a person. They see proof that nothing, not them, not failure, not pain, can keep you buried. Survival was never enough for you. Survival is crawling, begging, clinging. That's not living, that's existing. And you were never built to exist. You were built to hunt, to sharpen your smile into a weapon, to turn every ounce of silence into a trap. You stopped running from the wolves the moment you realized you were the wolf all along. They used to chase you, corner you, laugh at you, but look at them now, hesitating, second-guessing, tripping over their own footsteps, because you flipped the roles. Prey doesn't stalk predators, yet here you are, breathing down their necks. They can't escape you, because you don't just follow the trail, you become the trail. You're the shadow in every corridor, the weight in every heartbeat. Respect. That word they tossed around like scraps at a table. You don't wait for it anymore. You take it. You carve it out of their fear. You steal it from their trembling hands. Respect isn't granted, it's ripped. And the sound of ripping is beautiful, isn't it? Like paper tearing, like an old lie being shredded. They think dominance is about titles, about crowns, about thrones. Pathetic. Dominance is about presence. It's about the silence before you speak, the way a room bends when you enter it, the way their laughter curdles when they notice your eyes. That's real power. Power they can't vote on, can't hand out, can't fake. Funny, isn't it? You didn't beg for a place at their table. You flipped the table, broke the legs, and built your own fire with the pieces. And now, while they scramble for their scraps, you sit at the head of a feast they'll never taste. Because hunters don't eat what's offered. They take what's hidden. So no, you're not surviving anymore. You're hunting. And every step you take makes them flinch, because they finally understand you don't play in their world anymore. Their world plays in yours. They thought you just slipped through the cracks. No, you shattered the whole foundation. You didn't sneak past their grid. You annihilated it, line by line, rule by rule. You didn't play their game. You burned the board, scattered the pieces, and laughed while they crawled on their knees trying to pick them back up. That's the joke. They thought control was permanent. They thought the cage was unbreakable. But cages only work on those afraid to bite. And you didn't just bite. You devoured. You turned their structure into rubble, their order into smoke. They stare at you now not like a rebel, but like a virus. Unstoppable. Infectious. The kind of chaos that spreads, that multiplies, that rewrites the script for everyone else watching. Because when one person destroys the grid, everyone else sees the cracks. And that's what terrifies them most. You showed them it was never real. Every laugh of yours is an earthquake to their certainty. Every move you make reminds them the leash is gone. The rules are dead. The old order is finished. You're not just outside the system. You're the reason it collapsed. And collapse has a beautiful sound. Like glass breaking in the middle of the night. Like a scream that never ends. So now, what do? Build another grid? Write another script? You'd only rip it apart again. That's the inevitability they can't swallow. You're not a glitch. They can't patch you. You're not a mistake. They can't erase you. You're the rewrite. The wildfire, the monster in the machine, laughing while the gears melt. And that's the punchline. You never wanted their world. You never needed their approval. You didn't enter their grid, you destroyed it. And now, every time they rebuild, every time they try again, they'll hear it. That laugh, that echo, reminding them the system is dead. And you're still here, untouchable, unstoppable, unforgettable. And that's when you laugh the loudest, because you didn't just win, you ended the game forever.